After a week-long break, we're back with episode 6 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. And honestly, this is really my second favorite one, just for the fact of the pacing and also towards the end. It's a really nice animated sequence for setting up the next episode. This was literally a setup episode for the main conflict that is going to be within the next 2 episodes. Sasano is a very short arc like Echo Gorge, so it'll most likely end by the end of next episode, or most likely the midpoint of episode 8, which this series is actually going a lot quicker than I initially thought. I thought we were going to get a little more breathing room, but I think this series so far has been pretty neatly paced, and I'm very happy with it. It doesn't feel dragged out, and it's not feeling too fast, at least for me. And throughout this whole thing, it's maintained consistent in its animation quality, as well as just the character designs. Sometimes Percival seems a bit off, but other than that, things have just been very well done, and I am looking forward to seeing more. But before we get into the actual video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, and keeps me motivated to keep reviewing this series every week. And if you want to support the channel even more directly, I start up YouTube memberships. So for $1.99 a month, you guys can become a YouTube member, and you get access to some really nice deals, such as members only polls, members only posts, as well as once a month a members video for you guys as well. You can also decide on what videos I can make for the main channel or the members only stuff as well. Also get early access to videos up to a week early, as I am getting more and more videos outside of the reviews being made as we speak. I've also got some nice emotes and stickers for you guys coming soon, so look forward to that. But with all that out of the way, let's get right into the episode. So basically, this starts off from last week, where we are in the middle of Sastana and the middle of the night, as we see Ironside again as he's talking to the town's chief official, as well as meeting An, his daughter. And something very specific happens as we see An's ability, which is to essentially tell when someone is lying, which is visualized through her eyes as a black fog covering them. Little bits mean little lies, but Ironside is just covered in a sheer black fog, showcasing that he's just full of lies. Nothing that he's stating is actually the truth. Then we learn that Ironside is in Sastana to look for a missing piece of the coffin of eternal darkness, which, if you know from Seven Deadly Sins, is the thing that was used by the goddesses to seal away the demons for 3,000 years during the Holy War. And so if he's looking for this, it can't be for anything good. We then come back to Percival's group as they're just chilling by a riverside catching fish. Percival's learning how to use his powers with his mini golems again. Nazians is experimenting with more poisons, and we essentially talk about how Camelot is supposed to have been destroyed 16 years ago, but it might still exist, and they have to go to Leonis to find out how to get there, as they're wondering if Sin is telling the truth. Percival obviously believes that Sin is telling the truth, and they even come up with the idea for Sin to use that teleportation magic that he used to get them away from Pelgard. But Sin reveals that it was a spell bead, and it essentially was the last one he had, and he didn't bring him straight to Leonis because he was short on time, and he didn't exactly think where to take them outside of somewhere far away from Pelgard. And I like the little exposition dump of Nazians being like, these spell beads were created by Merlin of the Seven Deadly Sins, and it's just nice to get mentions of the sins, as well as just basically their legend throughout the whole continent, as they are living legends in this whole universe. And also Nazians is mainly interested in learning about Merlin because she has a tome of just vastly different and unique poisons, which gets him all kind of excited to learn about more poisons. They then start to walk towards Astana, as then all of a sudden, one of Percival's mini golems start to just go right into town, as they're wondering where these things are going. They then lead Percival and the group to a dug up hole which has something buried in it, and when Percival digs in to see what they're looking for, they find a piece of the coffin of eternal darkness. Sin obviously knows what that is and how it is kind of, very important and very dangerous, but as they dug it back up, An sees them, and then she's wondering if they're in link with Ironside and if they're trying to find the piece for him, so she pulls out a hidden rapier and starts to attack them. Obvious misunderstanding, but after knocking Donnie and Nazians down on the ground, she asks Percival for the piece back, as Percival, being the innocent person that he is, just hands it straight to her, and this takes her aback, wondering why he would do so, as she can tell that Donnie is having some lies. Nazian says lying about something, but the funny part of this episode is she goes over to Percival thinking that he's just lying out of his teeth, but literally sees no sign of him lying, as it's literally just glazed on the screen with a filter showing just sparkling lights and stuff, showing that he has just literally no intention of lying whatsoever, which is the first time I guess she's ever encountered somebody who isn't hiding literally anything, and that is just hilarious hilarious to me. The pure of our main character gets the person that is surrounded by lies all the time, just getting them to get taken aback. It's funny. And I just like how Percival also just mentions, oh yeah, these mini golems that I generate are what found that piece in the ground. And she reacts like a normal person. Which again, so far comedy, pretty on point for me. I know it's subjective for a lot of people and it might not be funny or it can be jarring. I still find it kind of charming and funny. Then as Sin is trying to ask on about how she knows about the coffin and why she hid the piece, her servant shows up and basically gets her to go back home. And so since she panics, she's like, okay, you know what, screw it. She gives the piece to Percival, says to hide it and not to give it to Ironside, which obviously triggers Percival as he mainly wants to find Ironside to find out why he killed his grandfather and why he tried to kill him, which gives Percival the idea that Ironside is still in town and he might actually get his opportunity to encounter him. We later cut back to the inn as the group are discussing what's going on with An and the piece of the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Sin gives them a history lesson on how the goddesses basically sacrificed themselves to use that to seal away the demons, and that if Ironside is looking for this, then this is dangerous. But they want to make sure that he is actually looking for the piece and that if it is a legitimate piece of the coffin, so they have to find a chance to basically confirm their suspicions. Not to mention, Sin literally talks Percival down over to go fight Ironside for his revenge, because obviously Percival stood no chance before against Ironside, and Sin lays it on thick, he can't win at all. So it's best to just focus on trying to figure out what he's planning and possibly stop it and not go on for a full-on fight. We then shift over to An in her hut, in her house, as she's talking to her father about Ironside and how he should not believe what he's saying and he's only lying. It's then revealed that Ironside and her mother used to be holy knights together, and so her dad has no real choice but to listen to him in hopes that he'll protect the town, or at least won't have any tragedy befall it. An tries to convince him that he's lying and that he knows about her powers, but her dad just says, don't even mention your powers in front of him, otherwise something bad will happen. An tries to give him confidence by saying that she'll be a holy knight like her mom and protect the town from whatever comes their way, but that just makes her dad more angry and nervous, and so he slaps her and just walks out to go meet with Ironside. I know it kind of breezed past this scene, but this comes into play a bit later because we know that An's father is very overprotective of her based on their interactions, and he knows that he can't fully trust Ironside, but he's doing his best to protect his town and the rest of his family. An obviously doesn't want her father to worry about her or anything and tries to convince him that she's strong and can actually help, but obviously parents will always do their very best to protect their kids no matter what. Then cut to later that night as Ironside is talking to the townsfolk, basically trying to tell them about an oncoming danger to their town and how they can help him protect it, revealing to them the Coffin of Eternal Darkness and that he's missing a piece. And so basically spun them the tale that it's going to be used to protect Sistana. And Percival and the gang are kind of watching in the distance to confirm, that the coffin is real, and it is in fact real. And so Sin tells them that they got to book it out of town, because as long as they have the piece that they found thanks to An, Ironside isn't going to be able to use the coffin, and that's best that they leave right now. But then An ends up showing up, confronting Ironside, telling the townspeople that he's lying and that they shouldn't trust him. Ironside just brings it off the fact that kids basically won't essentially believe people that they just met and that they're overly suspicious, and that's how they are. But then An brings up the fact that she can tell when people tell lies and truths, which gets Ironside obviously angry, and so he's basically threatening actual punishment and stuff and discipline for An, but basically showing that he considers her a threat because she could potentially ruin what he's planning right here. And it's at this moment when the group is about to leave, Percival jumps in to try and save An. Ironside realizes that Percival is in fact still alive, but instead of going in for a fight, Percival uses his mini golems to distract Ironside, grabs An, and then runs away. Ironside tries to land a blow on An and Percival to kill them in one fell swoop, but Percival helps to get them out of the way, avoiding getting hit by basically an instant kill move. Now, something I kind of glossed over was the fact that Sin told the group that the main thing that Ironside needs to activate the coffin is a sacrifice, and since there are no goddesses around, chances are he's planning to sacrifice the entire town in order to use the coffin. And Ironside said that he's going to use it on the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which are destined to destroy the world. But me, and I think some other fans, even at the time of the manga, were speculating that maybe the main reason since they don't know the identities of all 4 knights, is probably so they could seal away Meliodas and the 7 deadly sins, because they're still the strongest people in this series and the biggest threat at the moment. So that is a very likely possibility, unless the coffin can just seal people that the caster does not know or has ever seen, which will make it even more broken. As Percival and On get away, On's father basically talks to Ironside, telling him why would he do that, what if his daughter got caught up in it. Ironside just says, it'll be a sacrifice for the greater good. And then he essentially potentially gets like a transmission or something from telepathy as he tells somebody, well done. Sin, Donnie, and Aziens begin to run back to the inn to get their piece of the coffin and book it out of town. However, they then see On's maid walk out of their inn with the piece that they were hiding, and her maid turns into a weird creature as it's revealed that it was actually one of Ironside's familiars, as it flies off and brings the coffin towards Ironside. Percival meets up with the rest of the group and On, as Sin then basically tells them their situation, that now Ironside has all the pieces of the coffin, and that he's planning to sacrifice the entire town in order to use the coffin's power. And so Sin basically makes it so that they have to at least destroy the coffin or steal one of the pieces and then leave and run out of there, and that'll stop Ironside. So Percival, On, Nazians, and Donnie end up heading towards Ironside in order to stop his ritual, and Sin goes off somewhere else to prepare something for what could happen next. And something to note is that On looks at Sin, and there's a dark fog over him thanks to her power, so she can tell that he's hiding something. Sin is going to be a very mysterious character for the next couple episodes of 4 Knights, so look forward to more of things being unraveled slowly. Anyway, the group goes over to take on Ironside, as On just says, look, I didn't ask for your help, but thank you anyway. So basically setting up their group dynamic from here, and also Percival revealing that he's after Ironside because he killed his grandfather. On saying that Ironside's despicable, and even mentions that he basically wanted to try and set her up with his son, which we assume might actually be Percival, but we all know that it's not Percival because Ironside wants to kill him, or he was lying just to save face with the town's mayor. Obviously, On says that the son will probably be despicable as well, not knowing that Percival is Ironside's son, so that is something to really think about, as Percival is there hearing all this. And we come to the final scene of the episode where Ironside begins to make a chant and begins to activate the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Now, this is a very short animated scene, but the way it's done is honestly very well executed and very well animated, as we see the dark bog come out from the ground, swirling around Ironside and going up around the town as he begins to do the sacrifice for the coffin, ending the episode. Another good episode of 4 Knights of the Apocalypse. I like the pacing, I like the introduction to On and her character, as well as her storyline in Sistana. The group dynamics are being established, Sin's mysterious lies or hiding truth, as well as seeing the Coffin of Eternal Darkness, callback to 7 deadly sins, and the final sequence with Ironside being set up as the basic end boss of this arc, and the inevitable confrontation that's going to come in as well. I think everything in this episode was very well done. I like the pacing, I liked how the animation, it was consistent, and when we saw some of the action, it was pretty good. And like I said, the animation for the ritual scene is still a very good scene, and they did a pretty good job with it, and I can't wait for the next episode, because the next episode is going to be very action heavy. So I look forward to when that gets animated for the next episode, because that is also probably some of my favorite moments of 4 Knights of the Apocalypse in the early days of it. So I look forward to that. But what did you guys think of this episode? Were you anime only? Were you a manga fan watching this and wanting to compare the stuff? Let me know how you felt about this episode in the comment section down below, and what you think is going to happen next, and how you feel about this adaptation so far. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. And I look forward for the next episode review next week. With all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.